Determining the reliability of a site, or what the site's bias is, can be difficult. We have to try to figure out what's the purpose of the site, and then we have to see if they're trying to use any tricks to get us to agree with them. This first site is Beef What's for Dinner. If we look down at the bottom of the site, we see it's funded by the Beef Checkoff. But look down a little bit further, we see it's from the Cattlemen's Beef Board and National Cattlemen's Beef Association. So in other words, if this is a site promoting beef, it's actually funded by the people who produce the beef. So we might be a little bit suspicious that any information about nutrition, for instance, on this site could be a little bit biased because their main goal is to try to get us to eat beef or to try to sell us something. If I go to the section that says Beef and Health, I'm going to look at the part that says Getting the Facts on Fat. Here I find some information about fat from the Beef Council. I would probably have to look at this a little bit more depth and compare it with some other sites, but I'm pretty sure they're probably missing some information here about the other side of the debate about whether fat is healthy or not. In other words, it's a pretty one-sided presentation. The second type of site is one that's trying to convince you to agree with their opinion, and it's from an organization that promotes a social issue, animal rights. If I look at their article, Top 10 Reasons Not to Eat Cows, what I expect to find here is some sort of language that is supposed to provoke me into action, to not eat beef or to make me feel angry or horrified or sad. So, if I look at here, help your health by leaving cows alone, this kind of gives a different point of view than the Beef Council. If I scroll down a little bit, there's information here about the hormones used, about it being a potent cancer-causing and gene-damaging estrogen in meat products from cows treated with hormone. And notice the word here on number 5, Torture 101. You probably don't want to read the rest there, because it's pretty graphic. And it goes on to talk about filthy air and toxic water because of farms that raise beef, or factory farms at least. So what you see here is a number of facts that are presented to shock and convince you that eating beef or eating meat is bad for you, bad for the environment, bad for your health. But the language they use is rather extreme, and the arguments are pretty one-sided. We could definitely use this in our paper on animal rights, but we'd want to make sure to see the other side too, to help balance our presentation. Or at least to be aware of the other side of the issue, in case our opponents bring up that information as well. We could certainly use this information in our debate. It's just that the information is one-sided and uses a lot of language that's meant to invoke anger or shock. We'd want to make sure to visit other sites as well that give another point of view, especially if our opponents on the other side of the issue were to bring up that information. We want to make sure we know what that is. The purpose of this site is not to sell us something, and it's not to convince us of a point of view. It's just to give us information that we can use to make a better decision about our health. Depending on our purpose, any of these 3 sites could be useful, but it's good to make sure that you know what the site's point of view is and what tricks they're trying to use.